Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome to day 2 of the India Today Conclave South. And it's my pleasure to be sharing the stage here with so many luminaries that I think on an issue that's rocked both the North and South, national politics, the issue of caste enumeration. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me here at the India Today Conclave. We've already, of course, introduced to all of our panelists. Mr. Raju, I'd like to begin with you. For an introduction first, your mic is on the left, sir. For an introduction first of why we need to be having this conversation. In the 21st century, why is caste census enumeration still such a big issue? What's with the C word right now in India?
Since we are sitting in Tamil Nadu state, I just would like to take you to the history. In 1911, when in British India, caste census was conducted. It has come out that 3% of Brahmins are occupying 90% of government jobs in Tamil Nadu. So that has led to a social movement, gave birth to Justice Party in 1916. And in 1927, they brought out first time in the country communal GO, which provide for reservation for Brahmins, for non-Brahmins, for Christians, for Anglo-Indians. First time a policy was announced based on the caste census. You know what happened is that policy continued till 1950. And in 1950, something interesting happened. Madras High Court has held that policy as unconstitutional. Then the first Prime Minister of India had to go for first amendment to the Constitution to provide foundation to reservations for scheduled castes, STs and OBCs. Why I'm saying is the data that has come out of the caste census has led to social reform, has led to laying foundation to the reservation policy in India. So the point that is important to note is it is not just a rhetoric. The data that comes from the caste census will help the government to bring out policies to bring equality in the society. As all of you know, our constitution is one of the best constitutions in the country in terms of providing equality. But that goal of equality is not yet accomplished primarily because of the caste system. The caste system is stonewalling our path, our progress towards the equality. And thus the wall that is blocking the progress is built by many bricks. Each brick represents maldistribution of assets by various communities. Unless you understand how the assets, opportunities, and power is distributed, you will not be able to really achieve the equality. That is why the caste census is important to realize our ultimate goal of achieving equality as envisioned in our constitution.
The goal of equality, talking about caste, these are conversations we have had for decades. Dr. Ramadoss, I'd like to open this up to you as well. That ultimately, when we look at a caste enumeration, a caste census, will this ensure social justice? The fear is also that there's a lot of politicking over this, that this is reserved for politics, that they do this to gain for certain vote banks, and that it doesn't ultimately lead to social justice, because we've had these conversations. It's never really led to equality.
You can't have social justice without data. And today's data is about 90 years old. 1931, during the British period, that was the last when they took a caste census. See, I'll just give you some data. Why we need a caste count today. It's just not only for the backward caste or the scheduled caste, even for the forward. I will justify that. See, in 2017, our Prime Minister had initiated a Rohini Commission, Justice Rohini Commission, for within the OBCs, we have 27% reservation for OBCs at the national level. What is the disparity within? There are 2,633 communities within the OBCs, out of which 10 communities take away 24.94% of the jobs and employment or education. That's a reservation. You can say 25%. Then there are 38 communities, another 25% they take away. Then 102 communities, they take away another 25%. Then 506 communities, they take away 22.5%. So now you have 656 communities, they take away 97.5% of the jobs of the OBCs. And you have 1,977 communities, they vie for only 2.5% of the remaining. And irony is that you have 983 communities, they don't have even one job, one education, nothing. They don't have reservation. So to offset this, you need a count at the national level and as a state level as such. National level count is a macro count, according to me. But the more important is the state level count. We need all the state governments to take account. And why? Each state has got its own criteria. For Bihar, they have done a caste census in 23, they have finished it. And they found out that in Bihar, 94 lakh households have a monthly earning of less than 6,000 rupees. It's just not only for reservation you need this count. It is for your other welfare schemes. Reservation is only part of the affirmative action.
So economic backwardness.
Absolutely, absolutely. To know the economic backwardness and to offset it. And then they found out that 67 lakh households in Bihar, families in Bihar didn't have a house. Telangana did a count. And they had 75 questions, 56 primary questions and then 19 secondary questions. And they had an elaborate questionnaire. So all the households in Telangana, you know that what community they come from, what is their status, what is the educational status, what is the economic status. And Tamil Nadu has a different issue. Tamil Nadu has got 69% reservation, unlike other parts of the country. And to save this 69% reservation, and we have this in the 9th schedule of the Constitution, protected. But even then, there are cases in the Supreme Court. And the judges in the Supreme Court are asking, does Tamil Nadu have 69% of scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, OBCs and MBCs? So without a count today, we can't justify the 69% reservation. And in fact, Karnataka recently, they are going to take the second count. They took a count for the SCs, Supreme Court's ruling, and because of the count for the SCs recently, they gave internal reservation. They broke up the scheduled caste 17% into 6, 6 and 5. So, social justice is where you give more, when you say reservations or affirmative actions to the needy who have not got amongst the others. So, this is something where, so this is the justification why we need a count at the macro level, at the national level, as well as at the micro level, at the state level, because each state has got different problems.
Yeah. I want to focus a bit on the Telangana model here, because you also mentioned it, Dr. Ramadoss. Mr. Kanchayalaya, I'd like to talk about the Telangana model here, because the reference that Dr. Ramadoss made about, a caste enumeration and how it also establishes economic backwardness. That's always a concern point that's raised, sir, about whether this kind of enumeration will actually tell you about economic backwardness in some sections of the society. Telangana has actually done that.
Well, I was the vice chairman of Telangana Caste Census Independent Expert Committee that government constituted after the survey was done. The vice presidential candidate now, Justice Sudarshan Reddy, was the president. Now, Telangana caste census is not just caste counting. It is called socio-economic, educational, political caste survey, because it can't do census, because it is not a national government under the Census Commission. Now, the final result of this, after we did what is known as composite backwardness index of all 242 castes and the groups ST, SC, OBC, and then Muslim OBC and upper caste, general caste. Now, the concluding point I wrote in my vice presidential note in the report is, even today, individual welfareism is not going to work in India. It is a caste cultural welfareism. Now that means all the 242 castes, land as is not the basis of development of those castes now. Education, mobility, and the employment that both in the private and public sector, and more particularly English medium education has come out as the central even to the Adivasis, Dalits, OBCs and upper caste. Now one of the critical areas that Telangana caste census has thrown out is, see, there is this hypocrisy that the elite caste, the upper caste, use caste and don't say that we use caste for our promotion. In Telangana caste census, they went to the court and got an interim direction that there should be a no caste column. A specific column was added in the manual, and 3.4% people registered under that. In that, highest central government IPS officer, IAS officer, judicial positions, and highest English medium education is registered in that. Therefore, now the caste census of Telangana model is not just counting caste, looking at the socio-economic, educational, and women status. We have looked at the total women status. Gender inequality is more striking than even the caste inequality, whether they are Brahmins or Dalits or Adivasis within the hierarchy. We put all 342 castes in the ladder where they exactly should. The last point I would make is, as the caste hierarchy exists, untouchability to differentiation within the society, socio-economic, educational, employment, differentiation still exists. Therefore, the nation has to go for similar model like Telangana, not just to remove inequalities, make Indian democracy really deeper and humanitarian. That is the point.
Mr. Rakesh Sinha, do you think so too? That is the Telangana model that needs to be emulated in a nationwide caste census?
There are three dimensions of the entire issue. The very important dimension is that caste census is essentially required for effective affirmative actions. Because the sub-caste inside the OBC or scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, they remain deprived, rather I would call that they are internally colonized under the banner of social justice. So elites of the particular castes, evolution of the elite class in a particular caste, they don't allow the other marginalized people to come up. They use as a political tool, as a social justice. Therefore, what I would give an example of Tamil Nadu. Here the political system is based on the slogan of social justice, principle of social justice, so-called principle of social justice. Who stopped them for ending the discriminations? A left party has presented a memorandum, I'm quoting left party, I'm not taking its name, that in 163 Tamil Nadu schools have caste discriminations. There are many villages where the tea stalls, there are two sets of glasses, one for scheduled caste, other for others. So it is not the caste census which has stopped eradicating that. So while saying that this is essentially required for the effective affirmative action, second dimension is that in the post-independent India, we have all seen the difference between the pre-independent and post-independent. I'm giving an example of M.G. Ranade. He was a Brahmin, but he started the social conference movement. Everybody would agree that it was a very progressive social movement. He organized conferences in South India, particularly South India and Western India. It has a very positive impact. So the affirmative action and these things have not been complemented by the social actions. We all dependent on the Indian state for eradicating the untouchability, eradicating the caste discrimination, eradicating the backwardness. It is not possible. No society could develop without these effective, positive, progressive social movements. So in post-independent India, there is lack of such movements. This is one of the reasons that identity politics is increasing. Every caste is claiming its share and becoming a stakeholder in a way. So there are holes in we the people of India. We the people of India. They one people. But there are many holes. The reason is politics. Third important dimension, which we must realize that while we are doing caste census, it should be attached with the development projects. You know, for the first time after 2014, everybody would agree that Prime Minister Modi targeted the marginalized people. When we call the marginalized people, mostly scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBC come in that purview. Even the poor Muslims, as Sachar committee pointed out, Muslims are very poor, lesser than Hindus. So the Christians, rural Christians, they come under that purview. Now when toilets is reaching to the homes of the poor people, when the farmers are getting every month something, if houses are being constructed for the poor people, they are working as a levelers. This does not decrease the effectiveness of but rather it increases the effectiveness of our positive actions by the Indian state. So you will realize that pre-2014 and post-2014, the social justice or social slogan of social justice have lesser impact on the people whom they are addressing. Now, because the development of Ayushman Yojana, this is a very important Jan Dhan scheme. Now, millions of people are now part of the banking system. So I think that caste census should be used for addressing those who are left out despite our affirmative action. He rightly pointed out, he counted many castes. The landed aristocracy has developed, elites have developed. They are not ready to give their shares to poorer people in their own caste. Last but not least, you know, the entire social justice movement, you will realize, irrespective of states, north, south, northeast or western India, the social justice movement led by the people have concentrated their own caste, their own families. So this social justice movement ultimately resulted into strengthening the dynastic politics, number one. Number two, inside the caste, internal colonization. Number three, they also try to create identity politics competing each other in revengeful manner. That cannot do good to the nation. I think that development is our common target. Democracy is our mode of action. So while strengthening the democratic principle, democratic practices, we must agree that social justice should not be, or in a way caste census should not be, reappropriated for political gains and political reasons. And check is the common consciousness of the people. Once the index of the people grows up, then this can be stopped. We need more Jayaprakash Narayan, more Vinoba Bhave, more M.G. Ranade. There are more politicians, less social action people. So that should be complemented. I think that is the real solution of the contemporary Indian crisis, which is centralized on the caste discrimination and caste politics and social justice slogans.
You've raised an important point, Mr. Sinha, and I'd like to bring in also Mr. Ramachandra Rao for his opening comments on how do we ensure this kind of a census, whether Telangana or nationwide, ensures affirmative action and not a further fracture.
See, the caste issue as such in the entire nation is being debated in several parts of the country. There are surveys going on. Karnataka, they did it. Then Telangana, they did it. Vice Chairman is here only. And then throughout India now, caste census is now being included in general census. Historically speaking, 1931 was the last caste census done by the Britishers. And after that, it was not done. Now, after that, the first time the caste census is going to be done in the Modi's government now. That is the idea. Then between many commissions came, Kelkar committees gave a report, and then Manmohan Singh ji also during his time, the SCCC was done, the socio-economic caste census. They call it survey because they can't be called census. So survey was done throughout the country with around 5,000 crores being spent on that basically. Now what has happened to that report? What is happening to that those database? We don't know exactly. Now again, Telangana government has come up with this caste survey. Now,
Do you agree with that?
No,
With what the government-
I'm coming to it. See, Telangana government has done, as Rakesh ji has rightly mentioned, the caste survey has to be done for two purposes. One for identifying the beneficiaries for development, and another, the caste survey should be tool for social welfare, social justice. These are the two things, development and social justice. But in Telangana, unfortunately, it is being used for divisiveness and also for politicalization. These are the two things which you should understand. Caste survey has to be done only for the purpose of development and social justice, not for politicizing it. Here, you understand they are bringing this OBC factor, Muslims into the OBC factor, because this is OBC category. When the 4% reservation was given to Muslims, it was given for employment and education. That is Article 15(4) and 16(4) under the Constitution of India. Is only for education and employment. What they have done, they have extended it to political reservation also. Now they are doing the same thing in the 42% reservations in local body. Our case is that if you are really interested in uplifting the real BCs, why do you include other community when they have their own reservations in BCBs they have, and 10% of the EBC reservations which have been included, which have been bought by our Narendra Modi ji. So therefore, the Telangana survey, I don't agree it is a scientific study, a scientific way, and it is only politicizing the entire social system there.
On the objection you've raised, both Mr. Sinha and Mr. Laya want to come in.
I'll
Mr.
just make one small point. The caste socio-economic educational census that if Center does tomorrow is not for the reservation question. I'll give you one concrete example from Telangana caste survey. In Telangana caste survey, Iyyars and Iyengars registered as a separate caste than Brahmins. And when we saw the employment, Iyyars and Iyengars graph is far longer than any other upper caste in Telangana. Then, the convener of the expert committee is Praveen Chakravarti, who is grandson of Rajgopalachari Chakravarti. And at the end I said jocularly, I am ideologically grandson of Periyar, you are grandson of Rajgopalachari, and Periyar drove your people into English medium education, therefore even Telangana, you are grabbing all the jobs. So if SC, ST, OBCs based on the survey are given similar private sector kind of English medium education, we don't need reservation at all. Do that. And caste survey will show a way out. Take for example, the central government is opposing English medium in government sector, but promoting English medium in private sector. Now this is the destructive education model. Caste survey will throughout all this bring out a new model of education equality of man and woman.
So
that is the best
The idea essentially of a census isn't necessarily what everyone assumes, which is reservation, quota. You're talking about a lot more beyond that of policy.
That is only to blame. See, When, one top leader asked me, why are you asking for reservation? It is begging. I said, when we don't have anything, we beg and leave. Once we have something, we will compete with you. So if we don't beg, we will die. Today, Telangana is asking for 42% in local bodies. We have seen the political representation. Some castes did not even represent as sarpanchas of the village. So therefore, some reservation has to be provided now, not forever.
Mr. Sinha.
Mr. Kancha Ilahia is depending on the old narrative that is now outdated. We experimented for more than 7 decades that narrative. And that resulted in the utter failure. You see, I told that how these social justice parties promoted the dynasty. How these social justice parties have created a discrimination inside the caste. How these social justice party didn't allow their own marginalized caste to get political representation, bureaucratic representation. So my view is that development is the pinnacle. You go with the reservation policy. It should be intact. There is no dilution. But until as Narendra Modi model of development, reaching to the last man, and the policy of Antyodaya. Antyodaya, what is Antyodaya? The last men. Who are the last men? Last men are the scheduled caste people, scheduled tribe people. I am just giving an example. I adopted a village in Meghalaya, in Kongthong. Kongthong, whistling village. And in 5 years, I could create a situation of sustainable development. Once you create another village I adopted in Bihar, Sujar, Mahadalit village. I'm trying to create a sustainable development. When there is a sustainable development, you will find that more harmony in the society, number one. Second, the interdependence grows. So you are trying to create a hegemonic order. From one hegemony to another hegemony. Revengeful process of politics. That is not going to work.
No, but Mr. Sinha, also at the same time, are we suggesting that right now, today, we have a level playing field already, even for development to seep through? You have to ensure it can reach that level.
I'm just telling that. If you are not strengthening the primary schools, and there are no primary schools in the Dalit areas, you give the 100% reservation. They will not come. So give the primary institution, primary health center, primary education and quality primary education, give the economic support, a scholarship to them, then they can enjoy the best facility of the positive discrimination or the affirmative action. Unless you go with the primary schools, health centers, economic advancement of the people, they would not be able. They would be just a part of the political slogan and political polarization. So my purpose is to strengthen we the people of India by affirmative action, not to create holes in we the people, which some people try to create. In Tamil Nadu, who stopped the government to reach to the school where there is a discrimination among the children on the basis of caste? Who stops them? There's no other party which can create problem with them. So I think that BJP is sending delegation in such areas. Now the water supply tank has some dirty things have been poured in the water supply tank in Tamil Nadu. The water is being supplied to the Dalit area. Then BJP is sending the delegation. So here social justice should not be a hollow slogan.
Okay. I think both Mr. Raju and Dr. Ramadoss want to make a point. Dr. Ramadoss, go ahead. Are we reinforcing caste identities with a census, sir?
See, if you don't like the word caste count, you can change it as a social count.
Is that the same thing? If you look at
Absolutely.
this and that.
See, we need a household count, including a caste for reservation, and including all the other parameters for social welfare schemes or affirmative action, like housing, loan for education, loan for employment, and all the other developmental schemes. See, social injustice has been brought about in the name of caste for the last 20 centuries. To offset it, we need more data, where we are going wrong. Southern states are doing much better in the name of holistic development. Why? Because we have a robust reservation system here, which we keep fine-tuning it. And that is why, because we have more social justice here in southern states, you can say industry and all sorts of development. At the same time, there are the other side is where you politicize caste. But I could blame both the BJP as well as the Congress, or here in Tamil Nadu,
But
the
that's-
DMK as well as ADMK.
But that's my point.
They give their
Is there-
MLA seats, MP seats based on caste. They give their district secretaries based on the
But
caste,
that's my
predominant
point,
caste.
Dr. Ramadoss, is that the reason that we've not seen change is perhaps because of politicians, because of political parties. There is a trust deficit. That look, even today, can we rely on these parties to ensure adequate policies are built upon to ensure social justice?
That is the whole point. When you have a science-based, robust, modern data, you can definitely do development with the data. Development doesn't mean that you build fancy highways and bullet trains and all malls and all that. 84% of India's population are OBCs, SCs, STs. They have to develop. Once they develop, then only India will be a developed country.
Okay.
Leaving them behind
One last.
So,
Can I?
yes.
Yeah, I
Just Mr. Raju quickly and then I'll give you a chance.
Yeah, since time is up, I just would like to reiterate that what the caste census is going to do is to measure the maldistribution of assets among various castes, maldistribution of opportunities, maldistribution of power. This is something we need to really understand. That is what caste census is going to measure. Caste is a reality. Caste disparities is a reality. India is one of the most unequal societies on the planet. We need to understand these inequalities basically stem from the way the caste works. So the caste system will tell you how these inequalities are there, how various castes are suffering. It will give you a whole lot of data for you to plan programs, policies, legislations, so that there will be equality in the society. So we need to really look at caste census as a great opportunity for India to move towards equality. Don't look at it from the narrow perspective of reservations, narrow perspective of politics. Look at it as a great opportunity India is having to become an equal society.
If done right. I think we'd wrap up this. Mr. Rao, apologies, but we've completely run out of time. If done right, the caste census perhaps provides that opportunity to address all of the issues that Mr. Raju also mentioned. We've run out of time. This is, of course, an issue that we can really dig deep into. And I think we just began a very, very interesting conversation on caste enumeration. But thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here at the India Today Conclave.